Hi everybody, this is Manard Warren, and I want to share with you some techniques on how to fix call reluctance. And what we're going to talk about, in my opinion, is the number one remedy that can help all of us overcome call reluctance, and that process is actually called thought realignment. So we're going to review thought realignment. I'm going to try to walk you through it in a somewhat compacted period of time, and then I'll turn it back over to your facilitator to lead you through some activities to help you actually work on whatever the number one type of call reluctance is that you've chosen to work on. So let's get into thought realignment. I'm going to use, and if you could, bring out your Psychology of Sales Call Reluctance book, because I want to use that. And if you could, look over on page 175. It's the beginning of chapter 5, and this is the chapter on thought realignment. I think this is the best chapter in the book. If you choose to do some selective reading when you read through the Psychology of Call Reluctance, please strongly consider to include this in your reading. I really think this is a strong chapter. I'll try to cover a few of the highlights with you to kind of get you off on the correct footing to help you work on your call reluctance type. So on page 175, what I really like about this is you look down here where it says prescribed for. So what this is saying is that thought realignment is prescribed for every one of the 12 types of call reluctance. And in simple terms, what that means is regardless of the type of call reluctance that you have that you're looking to fix or eliminate or control, that thought realignment actually, there's a very good chance or likelihood that it will work for you to help you correct some of your call reluctance. So now let's talk a little bit about what thought realignment is and some of the principles behind it. If you look over here on page 174, if you will, just take the opportunity to read through that, and I'm going to read this to you. What you say to yourself about prospecting has a powerful impact upon what you feel when prospecting. What you feel when prospecting has a powerful impact on what you do about prospecting. Now, in my estimation, there are three words here that really help us analyze what thought realignment does for us. And those three words are say, feel, and do. So what we say to ourselves about prospecting impacts how we feel when we're prospecting. So there's the say and there's the feel. And how we feel about a prospecting situation actually dictates what we're going to do about it, or what we choose not to do about it. So let me clarify a little bit, because when we're talking about say, if you notice that's the third word, what you say to yourself about prospecting. And in all actuality, what we're talking about there is what you say to yourself in your mind. In chapter 5, the thought realignment chapter, you'll see that referred to as mind chatter. You'll see that referred to as self-talk. And since we're talking about call reluctance scenarios, typically the self-talk that we have in a prospecting situation, for it to apply to a call reluctance scenario in the first place, it's going to be a negative self-talk theme. It's going to be something counterproductive that we've a meaning that we've attached to a prospecting or a selling or a proactive selling situation where we've attached something negative about it, something that tells us it's better to hold off on entering into that situation right now. A thought process or a thought pattern or perception that we've got that tells us it's in our best interest, or in the prospect's best interest, or in the customer's best interest for us to delay this activity and not enter into it now. Because that's really, when it's all boiled down to its barest element, that's what call reluctance causes us to do or not do. It causes us to hesitate. It causes us to have this anxiousness. It causes us to delay. So thought realignment, in my opinion, is a fantastic prescription, fantastic remedy, a fantastic way to help us really get control over our thoughts. Because if you follow through with the example, these things that we say to ourselves, which, and again, within the context of what we're talking about, are counterproductive thoughts, they actually dictate how we feel about a situation. And then those feelings tell us it's either okay to enter into that situation right now, or we better hold off and wait and hesitate. So this process, in my estimation, will really help you with overcoming call reluctance. What I'd like to do now is just take a brief second for you to fire any questions to your facilitator that you've got before we move on and actually talk about some of the nuts and bolts of how thought realignment works. So let's take a brief second. Okay, folks, now what I'd like for us to do is to actually get into the nuts and bolts of thought realignment, and then once I give you some instructions, your facilitator will work with you and hopefully have you fill out one of these forms yourself. So I just want to give you an example, work with you a little bit on an example of how call reluctance can be cured by thought realignment. And to actually share with you that example, you'll need to flip to the back of your workbook. If you notice in the back of your workbook, there's a page F4, F as in Frank 4, and directly across from that is a thought realignment log sheet. So that's where it is in your workbook. So let's go ahead and work through this, and maybe the best way to lead you through this is let's just pick a type of call reluctance that we want to fix, and I'll show you how this form actually can help you with that. So let's pick a common type, referral aversion. Referral aversion, as you know, is one of the most costly types of call reluctance. If any of you in the room have it, you probably already know that it's costing you some money. But let's go ahead and work through this. And I think what you'll see is that the way we work through referral aversion is also very similar to the way that you'd work through whatever type of call reluctance that you want to work on. So away we go. So what I would ask you to do on your thought realignment log sheet is actually up here on the top, just write the words, in this case, write the words referral aversion. Okay, that's the type you want to work on. Then let's just go through the litany of questions that we've got, the categories to fill out. This is really important here, this top box, this top category. It says where I am and what I am doing when referral aversion pops up. Okay, so we've got to think back to a situation. Let me just conjure one up. I met with Mr. Smith from ABC Company. He said he's happy with our service. At the end of the meeting, I could have asked for a referral, but I chose not to. Okay, so that would be where I was and what I was doing. Now, here's what I think is interesting. Let's go down to this next box where it says, what am I feeling physically? Well, as I think about asking, if I've got referral aversion, and I'm thinking about asking Mr. Smith for a referral, then there is pretty much no doubt that physiologically, I'm going to have some energy leaks. Physiologically, thinking about this thing that I've got a negative thought process or a negative self-talk attached to, which is asking Mr. Smith for a referral in this scenario, that I'm actually, as I think about entering into that situation, I'm actually going to have some bodily changes. For instance, maybe my palms start to sweat. Maybe my heart starts to beat a little bit faster. Maybe I get some butterflies. So something's going to happen as I envision that moment of truth and actually entering into it. Okay, so what am I feeling? So the way you need to fill out the first two questions, where I am and what am I doing when this type of call reluctance occurred. And then secondly, what starts to happen with my body as I envision myself going into this situation or entering into this scenario. Okay, is everybody with me? So let's go down to how I typically cope. Well, since it's a type of call reluctance that I want to work on, chances are how I typically cope, I'm going to write something in here very simply like I didn't do it, or I forgot to do it, or I'll do it next time, something like that. So we're not looking for anything that's like rocket science here for how I used to cope or how I typically cope. Okay, just put down what did you do, and chances are it's going to be real simple, and you're going to put something like, well, I didn't do it. Now, here's where the rubber hits the road on this form, so please kind of hang with me. What were my active beliefs, pictures, or self-talk themes that I had about that situation? Okay, what were my active beliefs, pictures, or self-talk? What was my mind chatter? What was my perception? And again, since we're putting this on this form in the first place, it's going to be some type of negative self-talk or belief that you've got that really detonated this as a situation in the first place. So just to kind of walk through this, had a meeting with Mr. Smith from ABC Company. He's happy with our service. I could have asked for a referral, but I chose not to. down here, what am I feeling? Well, when I thought about doing it, my feelings were tight chest, butterflies. How I coped, I didn't do it. I'll do it next time I meet with Mr. Smith. What were my active beliefs or pictures or self-talk that told me it was better to wait? Well, how about this? And if you've got referral aversion, you might be intimately familiar with this. Thought if I asked Mr. Smith for a referral, it may change our relationship. Or how about this one as active beliefs, pictures, or self-talk? Just got Mr. Smith's account. I haven't done enough yet to actually prompt him to give me a referral. Or how about this one? If I ask Mr. Smith for a referred lead, now our relationship is all about money. Okay, so as you can see, I've just went through 3 rapid-fire negative thoughts that we could have about this situation, and it just takes one negative thought. But I mean, there are so many as it pertains to call reluctance. So I've got a negative picture of this situation. Things I can say to challenge validity. Okay, for us to actually accomplish this, you need to look in your textbook, and if you will, in chapter number 5, let's find the page. In chapter number 5, if you would, please flip over to page number 212, where it says Thought Realignment in the Real World. And here's a section down here where it says clearing question number 1. And after the video, hopefully your facilitator will walk you back through this. But a key question in here, which is in italics, is where's the proof this has to be a frightening situation? And actually, I like to actually kind of abbreviate that question. Where's the proof? Okay, so now how does this apply to our form? We're going to get to that in just a second. Let me walk you through a second question that you may need to ask yourself. It's found on the bottom of page 213 where it says clearing question number 2. Again, with clearing question number 2, it says, do I have to feel the fear I'm feeling right now? There's a third question. If this is really a tough type of call reluctance that you're trying to fix, there's a third question. It's on page 214. And that question, if you look down here, it's quite simply, even if I believe that I have to feel the fear, and even if I cannot feel any other way, then do I have to feel my fear as much as I'm feeling it now? Could I amplify it and feel it more? If I wanted to, could I diminish it and feel it less? Do I have to stay so upset that I can't make calls while I'm feeling this way? So question 3, so we've got 3 questions. Okay, now how does this apply to our form? Okay, so let's say our self-talk was, I haven't done enough for Mr. Smith to prompt him to want to give me a referral. All right, so let's apply question number 1 that we saw over on page 212. Well, where's the proof? Well, let's think about that for a second. Okay, here's a situation. He's happy, but down here, my belief is I haven't done enough for him that would prompt him to want to give me a referral. Well, where's the proof that that's the case? Where's the proof that Mr. Smith has those thoughts in his head? You can quickly see after you ask yourself question number 1, again, which is where's the proof, you can quickly see if it's an easy type of call reluctance for you to fix. It's going to be kind of an interesting scenario that you have with yourself. It might go like this. Okay, so let's see. I wanted to ask him for a referral, but my beliefs, my active beliefs, my perception was that I haven't done enough for him that would prompt him to want to give me a referral. But you know what? He never said that. Come on, wake up. How could you be so stupid? So quite oftentimes, I mean, it's going to be that easy to fix call reluctance, because it'll just dawn on you that these thoughts that you've been applying to these situations are actually things that you've conjured up in your head, and you've been lying to yourself. And the sad part about it is you've been lying to yourself in a negative way. So the real question is, where's the proof? And most of the time you're going to find that you don't have any proof. If it's a little bit tougher type of call reluctance to fix, you might have to go to question 2. So I'd actually like for you to write question 1 down here, things I can say, put where's the proof. Then clearing question number 2 from page 213 is, do I have to feel this fear? Question number 2, put that down. And I think you'll you'll realize, do you have to feel this stress? Do you have to feel this fear? Do you have to feel this anxiety? I mean, is somebody actually standing over you dictating that you feel fear, stress, and anxiety? No, it's actually an unconscious choice that you made. So that right there, I think, is liberating. So these first two questions, in my opinion, are very liberating on working with your call reluctance types. And most of the time, you're going to find after the first question, you don't have any proof, so you're on the road to freedom of choice to actually come up with a new perception. And if it's a little bit tougher type of call reluctance, then you go to question number 2. If it's an excruciatingly tough type of call reluctance, that's where you would need question 3. It's going to be very rare that you need to go to the third question. But the third question is basically all about the degree of the anxiety that you're feeling. And to summarize, the synopsis of question 3 is, can I feel this fear just a little bit less and actually get into the situation a little bit more comfortably? Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Now here's, again, where the rubber hits the road again. Things I could do. Well, I could call Mr. Smith right now and ask him for a referral. And then the real key to your progress is this bottom line. What did I actually do? Okay? So we've got some stuff here on this thought realignment log form that I personally think is really important. And let me say this in conclusion. I think getting in touch with the situations where you've experienced some hesitation, some anxiety, where you haven't been just really wanting to call somebody, let's say that, even if that's not the right term. These situations that have caused you to hesitate, that's important to find out. More importantly, in my opinion, is you got to get down here and start to highlight and analyze your self-talk. What's your mind chatter? What are your active beliefs? What are your perceptions of these situations? And once you've discovered that, the cure, in my opinion, is pretty darn easy. Where's the proof? Where's the proof I haven't done enough for him to want to give me a referral? Where's the proof my relationship's going to be in jeopardy? Where's the proof if I called them yesterday that I can't call them back today? Where's the proof I'm not prepared enough? Where's the proof that if I get in front of this group that they're going to be judging me? I mean, you can apply this to every type of call reluctance typically. So I'm going to conclude with that. I hope that this helped a little bit. I'll flip it back to your facilitator to actually walk you through what your number one type is that you've chosen to work on, and hopefully you can think back to find an example of that type and work through this thought realignment log sheet and work on that. When you're finished with the workshop, again, if you do want to continue to work on your call reluctance, Chapter 5 is one of the chapters that I would thoroughly ask you to go through and read that if you selectively choose to read just parts of the book. So thank you, good luck everybody, and talk to you soon.